Hello and welcome to our morning edition of Arirang News. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour. President Lee Jae-myung, who's on a state visit to Mongolia, highlighted a new trade agreement and critical minerals cooperation as key areas for strengthening bilateral ties while speaking at a business forum. Korea and Mongolia are now seeking to increase bilateral trade to $1 billion by 2030. South Korean chipmaker SK hynix is set to list U.S. shares on the Nasdaq today, and the company reportedly plans to price its U.S. listing at $149 per American depository receipt. At that level, the offering would raise around $26.5 billion, making it the largest ever first-time share sale in the United States by a foreign company. The United States and Iran exchanged strikes for a third consecutive day. Washington launched new airstrikes against Iran early Thursday, while Tehran said it targeted U.S. assets in Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar in response. We begin this morning with President Lee Jae-myung's state visit to Mongolia. After agreeing to open golden era in bilateral relations at Thursday's summit, Korea and Mongolia are trying to turn that vision into concrete economic cooperation. President Lee, speaking at a business forum, highlighted a new trade agreement and critical minerals as the next steps in strengthening bilateral ties. Our Blue House correspondent Song Yoo-jin reports.
With Korea and Mongolia declaring the start of a golden era in bilateral relations, the next step is turning that vision into tangible gains. A key part of that effort is a comprehensive economic partnership agreement for which the two countries have reached an agreement in principle. Speaking at the Korea-Mongolia Business Forum after his summit with Mongolian President Uril-su-Uzna on Thursday, President Lee Jae-myung said the deal marks a new turning point in economic cooperation.
상품과 서비스, 투자 분야에서 장벽이 낮아지면서 양국 기업들은 보다 안정적이고 예측 가능한 환경에서 새로운 시장과 사업 기회를 확대해 나갈 수 있을 것입니다.
Unlike a traditional free trade agreement focused primarily on tariffs, CEPA also places a strong emphasis on broader economic cooperation. A senior Blue House official said the summit helped narrow differences over market access and implementation timelines, leaving only technical details to be finalized. Through this, Korea and Mongolia aim to increase bilateral trade to $1 billion by 2030. Last year, the figure stood at just under $700 million. Critical minerals will be another key pillar of their strategic partnership.
Mongolia seeks to combine its abundant reserves of critical minerals, vast renewable energy potential, and strategic geographic location with Korea's manufacturing strength and technological innovation to expand joint production and play a greater role in regional supply chains.
This comes after Korea and Mongolia established a rare metal research center in Ulaanbaatar last December. The center analyzes rare metal resources, including tungsten, molybdenum, and lithium, while providing technical training in mineral processing and refining.
President Lee's trip marks the first state visit to Mongolia by a South Korean president in 15 years. It also comes earlier in Lee's presidency than in any other administration, which the Blue House says reflects the two leaders' commitment to strengthen bilateral ties. Song Yoo-jin, Arirang News, Ulaanbaatar.
South Korean chipmaker SK hynix is set to raise about $26.5 billion through a blockbuster U.S. share sale, highlighting strong investor confidence in the booming AI semiconductor market. At the same time, Washington is stepping up efforts to attract Samsung Electronics and SK hynix to expand chip manufacturing in the United States. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
South Korean chipmaker SK hynix is set to raise about $26.5 billion through its U.S. listing in what is expected to become the world's second largest share sale after SpaceX's record-breaking IPO last month. According to sources familiar with the deal, SK hynix plans to price its American depository receipts at $149 each ahead of its Nasdaq debut on Friday under the ticker symbol SKHY. The company is capitalizing on booming demand for artificial intelligence infrastructure as it remains the world's leading supplier of high bandwidth memory or HBM chips. These advanced memory chips are a key component in AI processors used for training and running cutting-edge artificial intelligence models. The proceeds from the offering will be used to expand production capacity, including the construction of new factories and the purchase of additional manufacturing equipment to keep pace with the soaring global AI chip demand. Investor interest has been exceptionally strong. Sources say demand for the offering was more than 7 times greater than the number of available shares, highlighting confidence in SK hynix's central role in the rapidly growing AI supply chain.
There's a lot of attention there. There's an awful lot of demand. There's a lot of retail interest.
The company declined to comment on the pricing or investor demand. Meanwhile, the United States is continuing to push for a greater semiconductor investment from South Korean companies. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said he wants Samsung Electronics and SK hynix to build more chip plants in the United States, revealing that discussions are already underway. Speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony for Micron's new semiconductor plant in New York on Thursday, Lutnick said he wants Micron's rivals to follow its lead in expanding manufacturing in America. Micron recently announced plans to invest more than $250 billion in U.S. semiconductor manufacturing and technology by 2035. Lutnick acknowledged that Micron's chief executive may not welcome more competition, but stressed that attracting Samsung Electronics and SK hynix is essential to further strengthening the U.S. semiconductor supply chain. 이승재, Arirang News.
And now for more on the SK hynix U.S. listing, we're joined today by Sung-soo Eric Kim, founder and CEO at DataCrunch Global and a professor at Yonsei Graduate School of Business. Professor Kim, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you very, very much for having me this morning.
So SK hynix Nasdaq debut has already drawn massive interest. While improved access for U.S. investors is clearly a positive development, some analysts say this does not necessarily translate into a higher valuation. What's your take on this?
I think that's very significant. It's the largest IPO for a foreign company to list on a U.S. stock market. And we have to understand that this strategy is totally aligned with the NVIDIA-led semiconductor initiative. So SK hynix being listed on U.S. stock market is a big shot, I think. So we expect that SK hynix will be able to play a more global strategy by being listed on Nasdaq today.
Right, and this is set to be the world's second biggest share sale after SpaceX's record-breaking $85 billion IPO last month. And industry watchers say this Nasdaq debut could mark a turning point for SK hynix to be recognized as a core global AI infrastructure company. What would you say, what would this mean for the company's future growth?
So it was surprising to listen to the announcement just 1 month ago at Taipei GPC that NVIDIA would buy about 60% of SK hynix HBM4 chips. And President Choi of SK promised that they will double the capacity just in 5 years. That's a very significant alliance that we're seeing. So based on the NVIDIA-led semiconductor tech scene, SK hynix is a very important partner. So by being listed on Nasdaq today, I believe that SK hynix can play a more global role in leading the semiconductor ecosystem together with NVIDIA.
And the global chip industry has become increasingly competitive. So what are the biggest challenges do you think SK hynix faces as it aims to strengthen its position as a global AI infrastructure powerhouse?
Well, I believe that we have a lot of speculations on the global memory demand. But what's really important is being able to supply in bulk quantity. Imagine NVIDIA. They want to buy from a reliable company. They don't want to buy from a lot of companies. That means that you have to be ready for capacity for these leading companies. So it's very important for SK hynix to secure the capacity. That's why they're building more factories. So in this era, capacity building is the most challenging thing that I would imagine, counter to the speculation that there will be oversupply. even in situations that memories are oversupplied, we need some players that has capacity. Those will be the first servers of this game.
I see. And what does SK hynix U.S. listing mean for South Korea's broader semiconductor industry and its efforts to attract global investment?
I think we have to rethink about our semiconductor strategy. Until now on, we were, of course, leading the memory industry by SK hynix and Samsung. And we also have foundry, which we don't lead, but we're the second best foundry manufacturer, followed by TSMC. But we have to be more global. So if we look at our Honam cluster and Chungnam and Gyeongsang cluster plan, I hope that the government thinks about globalizing those clusters. For example, Micron has a factory in Taiwan, and they are also going to build a factory in Japan. We have to think about globalizing those clusters, inviting semiconductor tech companies and foreign university labs and fabless ICD, which is integrated circuit design companies that design semiconductors. We have to attract all of these global companies to these clusters. That's the only way that we're going to lead this global race for semiconductors.
I see. All right, Professor Kim, thank you so much for your time and insight today. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
A fragile ceasefire in the Middle East is on the verge of collapse as the United States and Iran exchange military strikes for a third consecutive day. The latest cross-border fire marks the first time the U.S. has targeted internal Iranian infrastructure since April. Our Kim Do-yeon reports.
The United States and Iran exchanged military strikes for a third consecutive day on Thursday, putting a fragile peace agreement to the test. The temperature has been raised further by Israel as it signaled its readiness to rejoin the military campaign. Israel's defense minister said the military is maintaining a high state of alert and is fully prepared to resume operations against Iran, including airstrikes, if necessary, to eliminate threats.
The IDF is on alert and ready to renew the campaign, to reestablish aerial superiority, and to carry out a blue-white strike in Iran to remove threats, even for a third time. If we will have to return, we will return with even greater force.
Early Thursday, U.S. Central Command launched cruise missiles deep into Iranian territory in an effort to degrade Tehran's ability to threaten shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. The strikes hit Iran-Shah airport and targeted two railway bridges in northern Iran, including the Ak-Takeh-Khan Bridge. According to U.S. media, the action marked the first time the U.S. has targeted Iranian infrastructure since a two-week ceasefire was agreed on April 8th. Iran's health ministry reported that the ongoing U.S. air campaign has killed at least 14 people and injured 78 others. Explosions were also reported near southern port infrastructure in Bandar Abbas and Sirik. In response, Iran launched retaliatory strikes targeting U.S. and allied military assets in Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, and Jordan. U.S. President Donald Trump said that while he believes the ceasefire with Iran is over, the recent escalation does not mean a return to war. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
And Wall Street closed higher across the board on Thursday, despite ongoing tensions between the United States and Iran, as gains in semiconductor stocks and a sharp decline in oil prices lifted investor sentiment. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.27% to close at 52,487.41. The S&P 500 gained 0.81% to close at 7,543.64, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq jumped 1.3% to end trading at 26,206. Meanwhile, crude oil prices fell about 2% as concerns over weakening global demand outweighed fears of supply disruptions stemming from U.S.-Iran tensions. Brent crude for September delivery settled at $76.30 a barrel on the ICE Futures Exchange, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude for August delivery fell nearly 2% to close at $72.08 a barrel on the New York Mercantile Exchange. One person is missing and more than 750 people have been evacuated from their homes amid torrential rain across Korea on Thursday. That's according to the Ministry of the Interior and Safety, which added that as of 5 a.m. Friday, 453 cases of property damage had also been reported. The Chungcheongdo provinces were hit hardest, with most areas receiving more than 200 millimeters of rain between midnight Wednesday and 5 p.m. on Thursday. Meanwhile, search efforts are continuing for a man in his 70s who was swept away by floodwaters in Gyeongsangbuk-do province. The government has urged relevant officials and local governments to ensure residents in high-risk areas are evacuated ahead of heavy rain. Korean defense shipbuilding is making waves at this year's RIMPAC, the world's largest international maritime exercise taking place around the Hawaiian Islands, as foreign warships built in Korea showcase their capabilities. Our defense correspondent Kim Bo-kyung tells us more.
They may fly foreign flags, but they are made in Korea. At Rim of the Pacific 2026, what caught the Defense Press Corps' eyes were foreign warships built by South Korean shipyards. One of them was the HMNZS Aotearoa, the Royal New Zealand Navy's largest fleet replenishment vessel, which was built by HD Hyundai Heavy Industries and delivered to New Zealand in 2020. Another vessel attracting attention was the Philippine Navy's newest 3,200-ton frigate that looks so similar to the ROK Navy's 3,100-ton frigate Daejeon, also taking part in RIMPAC.
I'm on board one of the Philippines' newest frigates, BRP Miguel Marbar. Built by a South Korean shipyard, it serves as a frontline combat ship in the Philippine Navy.
Also built by HD Hyundai Heavy Industries, it entered service in May last year. The ship's commanding officer says he has witnessed her great capabilities.
So far, we have not encountered any problems about the ship. It has a very nice capability, very good seakeeping, and the seaworthiness and the design is so far so good. The Korean shipyard really have a good design for this frigate.
When asked about the reason behind choosing the South Korean shipyard, the commanding officer underlined its speediness and support.
So it was constructed fast, and then we were able to commission our ships on time. And then the Korean defense companies were really supportive for us when it comes to the sustainment and other related matters, training and everything.
Already operating around 10 Korean-built warships, the Philippines signed a deal last December for 2 additional frigates, again proving what made in Korea means. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News, Honolulu.
Good morning, I'm Choo Ji-hyun, and this is The World Now. Germany will buy Tomahawk cruise missiles from the United States and station them on German soil, marking a shift toward an independent long-range strike capability. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said on Thursday that the deal, which was finalized during NATO meetings in Ankara this week, exceeded expectations. The agreement addresses a strategic gap left after U.S. President Donald Trump signaled reduced American troop presence in Germany earlier this year. Washington has committed to formal approval next month for Germany to acquire the missiles and ground-based launch systems. The purchase aligns with Trump's broader push for European allies to fund their own defense capabilities through American weapons purchases. A fire in a shoe factory in southeastern China on Thursday has killed at least 28 people, including workers trapped on the roof of the multi-story building. The blaze erupted around midday in Jinjiang, a major footwear manufacturing hub in Fujian province. 213 of the 239 people believed to have been in the factory escaped, although 2 died later from injuries. Preliminary findings indicate the fire began on the ground floor, where highly flammable shoemaking materials allowed flames to spread rapidly through the structure. Authorities have detained company personnel and frozen business accounts pending investigation. Chinese President Xi Jinping has demanded strict accountability following the incident. The Democratic Republic of Congo has confirmed suspected Ebola cases in a new province. It said on Wednesday that the 2 suspected cases have emerged in Kisangani, a major city in Tshopo province, prompting immediate containment measures, including enhanced surveillance and contact tracing. The outbreak has already killed 600 people since it began in May. The World Health Organization stated this week that transmission continues expanding as population movement drives the spread. Separately, Ebola response workers staged protests on Thursday outside treatment centers, demanding payment for services rendered since the outbreak began. Health Minister Samuel Roger Kamba said there had been administrative problems with worker payment systems. Welsh singer Bonnie Tyler, best known for her 1983 hit Total Eclipse of the Heart, died on Thursday in a Portuguese hospital where she had been receiving treatment. Tyler underwent emergency surgery in May and had shown signs of recovery. Her family confirmed the news in a statement expressing heartbreak over her unexpected death. Tyler earned 3 Grammy nominations and represented Britain at the 2013 Eurovision Song Contest. She was honored with the Order of the British Empire in 2022 for her contributions to music.
Most of the rain clouds have moved out to northeast, and this round of monsoon rain will take a short break from late this afternoon. And since the rainy season began, parts of Chungcheongdo provinces have received more than 200 millimeters of accumulated rainfall. Now the focus turns back to the heat. While Central Korea cools down number-wise after the rain, heat advisories remain in place across Gyeongsangdo provinces and surrounding regions. In fact, the heat will continue to build up through the weekend, and Daegu will see highs soaring to 35 degrees Celsius. And this afternoon, Seoul gets up to 29 degrees. Gwangju and Jeju will be topping out at 32. Daegu, Gyeongju will make it to 33 degrees Celsius. But please be aware of passing showers in the afternoon and keep an umbrella handy. While the rainy season is not over yet, the next widespread round of rain is expected around the middle of next week.
That's all we have for this morning. Arirang News will be back at noon Korea time. Thanks for watching.